Welcome back to the Paranormal State, Washington, and UFO UAP. With Makāula Nakae, a lifelong experiencer and ET contactee since 1990. Today's episode: The Architecture of the Known, How UAPs Shatter the Human Constructive Reality. Humanity has long prided itself on being the architect of its own reality. Through the steady evolution of sensory perception, empirical science, and cognitive categorization, we have built a comfortable mental framework that defines what is possible, organizing our universe into neat boxes of time, space, and material physics. Yet, the persistent, unyielding presence of unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, the modern continuation of the historic UFO enigma, serves as a profound ontological disruptor. By operating entirely outside the boundaries of established physical law and cognitive comprehension, the UAP phenomenon challenges not only our airspace, but the very nature of reality and the neurological constructs our brains rely upon to make sense of existence. To understand why the unknown nature of UAPs is so disruptive, one must first examine how the human brain constructs reality. Evolutionary biology dictates that the brain is an objective organ of survival rather than a passive mirror of the universe, filtering out an overwhelming ocean of ambient sensory data to present a coherent, manageable simulation of the world. What we perceive as solid reality is a narrow neurological translation of electromagnetic wavelengths, air pressure changes, and biochemical signals. When an object appears in our skies or on military radar screens, exhibiting instantaneous acceleration, transmedium travel without thermal signatures, or apparent disregard for inertia, it shatters the baseline assumptions ingrained in human perception. The brain is suddenly confronted with a phenomenon it cannot categorize, measure, or translate into its existing survival lexicon. This cognitive mismatch creates a state of profound ontological shock. Historically, when humanity encounters anomalies that defy its conceptual framework, the immediate psychological defense mechanism is either rigid denial or mythological translation. In the early days of aviation, unknown lights were dismissed as swamp gas, weather balloons, or psychological fatigue, neurological coping strategies, rather than mere bureaucratic cover-ups. To admit that an intelligence or technology operates with complete impunity within our sovereign airspace, violating the foundational rules of aerodynamics, is to admit that our map of reality is fundamentally flawed. Furthermore, the UAP phenomenon forces us to question the limits of materialism. For centuries, Western science has operated under a mechanistic paradigm, where reality is reducible to matter and energy interacting in predictable, linear ways. However, the high strangeness reports historically tied to anomalous encounters, ranging from altered states of perception and missing time to bizarre physical effects reported by military personnel, suggest a reality far more participatory and multidimensional than standard physics allows. If these phenomena represent a non-human intelligence operating on principles of quantum mechanics, consciousness interaction, or physics entirely invisible to our instrumentation, they expose the provincial nature of human knowledge. We are like ants crawling across the surface of a supercomputer, misinterpreting complex data streams as random weather patterns because our cognitive apparatus lacks the architecture to perceive the whole. Ultimately, the true challenge of the UAP phenomenon lies not in whether it represents extraterrestrial spacecraft, interdimensional probes, or undiscovered natural forces, but in what its persistent unknown status demands of us. It acts as an existential mirror, reflecting the boundaries of human hubris. By refusing to fit into tidy scientific paradigms, the unknown forces us to expand the very definition of what is real, reminding us that our current understanding of the universe is merely a temporary draft, and that beyond the narrow walls of our sensory construction lies an infinite, deeply mysterious cosmos. The architects of the threshold, from terrestrial evolution to cosmic and interdimensional horizons. Humanity's journey has never been a static residency on a single planet. It has been a continuous series of cognitive, biological, and technological leaps over abysses of the unknown. From the earliest hominids shaping stone tools in the East African Rift to modern societies orchestrating global satellite networks and probing quantum mechanics, human evolution is defined by an insatiable drive to transcend environmental limits. Yet, as we stand on the precipice of the mid-21st century, confronted by the realities of space exploration, the expansion of artificial intelligence, and the ontological disruptions of unexplained anomalous phenomena, we are forced to ask, what comes next? Are we evolving merely to become a multiplanetary cosmic species, or are we on the verge of stepping into an entirely different ontological tier, capable of navigating interdimensional reality? To understand where we are going, we must first trace where we have been. Human evolution is a story of niche construction. Unlike other organisms that adapt to their environments through slow, generational biological changes, humans adapted the environment to themselves through culture, language, and technology. The mastery of fire, the agricultural revolution, the industrial age, and the digital revolution were not merely economic shifts. They were evolutionary milestones that expanded the human brain's capacity to process information and manipulate matter. We transitioned from localized hunter-gatherers, bound by physical geography, to a globally networked species, capable of instantaneous communication and spaceflight. However, this traditional trajectory of technological acceleration is now colliding with profound philosophical frameworks, like utopian theory, the concept of forging a radically new societal, technological, and existential paradigm to match the realities of an expanded universe. As humanity reaches the outer limits of terrestrial dominance, our traditional frameworks of materialism, linear time, and purely biological existence are straining under the weight of new data. The emergence of advanced artificial intelligence, deep space exploration goals, and the persistent enigma of UAPs suggest that our next evolutionary step will not just be geographical, but dimensional. This raises the central divergence of our future. Will humanity evolve outward into a classic cosmic species or upward into an interdimensional species? The first path is the physical realization of a spacefaring civilization. Propelled by the establishment of the U.S. Space Force, global satellite infrastructure, and commercial rocketry, humanity is actively morphing into a multiplanetary species. In this scenario, our evolutionary pressures will be shaped by the cosmos. We will adapt to microgravity, colonize Mars, harness asteroid resources, and build Dyson-class energy grids, expanding our biological and cybernetic footprint across the galaxy. We will become masters of the physical universe, conquering the vast spatial distances that separate star systems through advanced propulsion, nuclear fusion, and automation. Yet, a parallel and more radical horizon beckons. What if the true frontier is not spatial, but dimensional? The persistent high strangeness of the UAP phenomenon, characterized by transmedium travel, instantaneous acceleration without thermal signatures, and apparent manipulation of spacetime, suggests that advanced intelligence may not conquer the universe by moving faster through physical space, but by mastering the underlying fabric of reality itself. If human consciousness is a participatory element of the cosmos, rather than a mere biological accident, our future evolution may involve unlocking higher dimensional physics, quantum entanglement, and altered cognitive states of awareness. To evolve into a capable interdimensional reality means transcending the prison of three-dimensional materialism. It implies a synthesis of advanced technology and human consciousness, where the boundaries between observer and observed, physical and non-physical, begin to dissolve. Just as our ancestors evolved the capacity to understand abstract mathematics, a skill entirely unnecessary for evading predators on the savannah, our brains may be quietly wiring themselves for reality far more complex than the one we currently measure. Ultimately, humanity's future is not a choice between becoming a cosmic species or an interdimensional one. It is likely the convergence of both. As we step off our planetary cradle and venture into the dark expanse of space, we will inevitably encounter truths that shatter our materialist assumptions. Whether we are bound for the stars of this universe or the thresholds of alternate dimensions, the human story remains unbroken. We are a species built to conquer the impossible, forever transforming ourselves to match the infinite scale of the cosmos we inhabit. The shift in terminology. From abductees to experiencers in the study of anomalous encounters, the shift from the term abductee to experiencer represents a fundamental philosophical, psychological, and ontological evolution in how encounters with non-human intelligence are understood. Examining the distinct focuses of each category highlights how the narrative has transformed from a biological survival imperative into a neurological and cognitive upgrade. The abductee focus, the hybridization and extinction paradigm. Emerging prominently in the late 20th century through the work of researchers like Bud Hopkins and Dr. John Mack, the abductee framework was defined by a sense of involuntary intrusion, clinical examination, and biological extraction. The focus centers heavily on genetic harvesting, ovosperm extraction, and the orchestration of a large-scale hybridization program. The interacting non-human intelligence is portrayed as acting out of existential desperation. Facing ecological collapse, genetic degradation, or evolutionary stagnation in their own species, they use humanity as a biological lifeboat, creating hybrid offspring to ensure their own survival or adaptation to Earth's biosphere. Humans are viewed as passive, victimized subjects are raw genetic stock through a materialist biomedical lens. Accounts are often analyzed through the framework of medical trauma and physiological disruption. The experiencer focus, neuro-cognitive upgrades, and bridging the gap. As the field matured into the 21st century, researchers and those reporting contact adopted the term experiencer to encompass a broader spectrum of high strangeness, spiritual, telepathic, and multidimensional encounters. Rather than focusing on surgical extraction and physical breeding farms, the framework shifts toward neurocognitive tampering, DNA activation, and consciousness calibration. The objective is evolutionary acceleration, pedagogical guidance, and bridging dimensional gaps. The intelligence is actively rewiring the human brain to expand bandwidth, enhance non-local perception, and activate dormant genetic potentials. Experiencers are viewed as participatory receivers, cognitive bridges, and evolutionary beta testers. Rather than replacing humanity with a separate hybrid species, the intervention serves as a bridge, allowing baseline humans to process higher dimensional realities and safely interface with non-human intelligence without psychological collapse. The science of the anomalous, investigating the experiencer brain. As the conversation surrounding UAP shifts from external hardware to the mechanics of human perception, scientific and noetic research into experiencers has emerged as a vital frontier. Rather than focusing on unverified lore, multidisciplinary researchers, neuroscientists, and parapsychologists are examining how the human brain processes profound anomalous events, asking whether these experiences reveal untapped dimensions of human consciousness. For decades, mainstream academic research approached experiencer testimonies primarily through psychological frameworks, examining traits such as absorption, fantasy proneness, and dissociative tendencies. However, peer-reviewed studies published in journals tracking anomalous experiences have consistently noted that individuals reporting contact events often display heightened cognitive flexibility, vivid internal imagery, and deep sensory absorption compared to control groups. Contemporary neuroscientific reviews suggest these experiences share overlapping neural pathways with deep meditative states, temporal parietal junction activity, and altered states of consciousness. Rather than dismissing these markers as mere pathology, researchers view them as indicators of unique cognitive baseline configurations that allow certain individuals to perceive data streams outside ordinary sensory processing. Concurrently, organizations such as the Institute of Noetic Sciences, IONS, have pioneered direct experience laboratory research, bridging subjective human encounters with objective scientific metrics. Modern noetic research explores the hypothesis that UAP phenomena and human consciousness are deeply interactive, using studies in remote viewing, non-local intuition, and mind-matter interaction to measure whether human awareness can interface with anomalous field effects. By applying rigorous electroencephalographic (EEG) and functional neuroimaging tools to individuals reporting anomalous perception, researchers aim to map how the brain registers inputs that defy conventional materialist physics. This research reveals distinct physiological correlates. Many experiences exhibit heightened electrical sensitivity or atypical neural architecture within the temporal lobes and the limbic system, regions heavily implicated in deep spiritual insights, symbolic processing, and altered states of consciousness. Furthermore, neurological profiles frequently show high porousness in cognitive filtering mechanisms. While an average brain strictly filters out ambient electromagnetic fields and peripheral sensory data to maintain baseline survival focus, the experiencer's brain possesses a widened perceptual bandwidth. acting less like a pathology and more like an upgraded receiver capable of registering subtle data streams. When neurological anomalies and noetic capabilities converge, they point toward a radical evolution of human potential. The human brain is biologically optimized for a Newtonian, for space-time reality. However, when anomalous stimuli or deep altered states trigger unusual neural firing patterns, the brain appears capable of decoding higher dimensional information, perceiving events non-linearly, experiencing simultaneous multiple perspectives, or sensing geometries that defy standard Euclidean physics. Rather than viewing interdimensional reality as a physical place accessed only by machinery, experiencer research suggests the human mind itself is the primary instrument of translation. The brain's anomalies are the evolutionary friction points where a three-dimensional biological organism stretches to accommodate a multi-dimensional universe. The convergence of contact, starseeds, experiences, and cosmic evolution. As the paradigm of human contact expands into neurocognition and metaphysics, a parallel narrative frequently intersects with the experiencer phenomenon, the starseed phenomenon. While classic experiencer accounts involve direct encounters with non-human entities like greys or mantis beings, the starseed narrative operates through an internal spiritual and psychological awakening. Together, these two overlapping frameworks point toward a massive worldwide shift in human consciousness. Starseeds are individuals who self-identify as having souls, consciousness origins, or energetic lineages rooted in other planetary systems, star clusters such as the Pleiades, Sirius, or Arcturus, or higher dimensions, rather than originating purely from Earth's evolutionary baseline. Rather than remembering a physical abduction or craft encounter, starseeds typically report a profound, sudden internal awakening. They describe feeling like strangers in a strange land from early childhood, possessing an innate longing for the cosmos, an aversion to heavy societal materialism, and an intuitive understanding of advanced metaphysical concepts. This awakening often coincides with what the community terms ascension syndrome. As individuals undergo a rapid expansion of consciousness, their physical and neurological systems struggle to integrate higher frequency data streams. This manifests as chronic fatigue, unexplained neurological buzzing, hypersensitivity to electromagnetic fields, sensory overload, and vivid, lucid dream states. Far from being dismissed solely as pathology, this syndrome mirrors the neuro-cognitive rewiring seen in experiences, suggesting that the human biological vehicle experiences severe physical stress while attempting to hold a wider bandwidth of awareness. While the starseed and experiencer narratives stem from different cultural and psychological entry points, they deeply complement one another. The starseed narrative frames human awakening as an organic spiritual timeline driven by planetary shifts and an intrinsic soul memory awakening within millions of people simultaneously. Conversely, experiencer narrative involves active exterior catalysts, frequently reported as interactions with non-human intelligences, actively engineering or facilitating neurological upgrades. Together, these narratives suggest a dual-pronged evolutionary mechanism, an external, guided technological or biological calibration, working in tandem with an internal, soul-driven spiritual awakening to prepare humanity for a multi-dimensional reality. Whether an individual awakens through an intense encounter with a mantis intelligence or through a quiet realization that their soul belongs to the stars, the end result is an expanded human being. Ultimately, these overlapping phenomena challenge the rigid boundaries of materialism, suggesting that humanity is not alone, isolated, or finished evolving. We are being midwifed into a broader cosmic and interdimensional existence, from both the inside out and the outside in. To be continued. Watch and listen. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Listen to the full podcast now. Explore the archive Cosmic Awakening Volume 1, 1991, Peru, Journey into the Unknown. Sacred Valley of the Incas. Volume 2, Ascension 2012, The Golden Alchemy. Part 3, The First Contact, The Paranormal State. Join the journey. New episodes drop periodically. Each chapter delivers a tight, hyper-focused 10 to 30-minute hit of real-life experiences, perfect for your daily plunge into consciousness exploration. Subscribe to support your inner development. Thumbs up to help push our channel through the algorithm. Comment below. Share your thoughts on today's episode.